Sir William Lyons, the founder of Jaguar, is credited with the saying that every vehicle needs grace, space, and pace. And that's where the Pace name comes from when it comes to the Pace family of vehicles. We have the F-Pace. The all-electric I-Pace is coming, but today we're looking at the new E-Pace. So Jaguar is calling this an in-between car. It's slightly larger than the competition, and it's slightly smaller than the next vehicle up in Jag's lineup. This is the all-new Jaguar E-Pace. Jaguar, you have to say it that way, especially because I'm in Europe, on the island of Corsica, listening to the nav. It's a lovely day on Corsica. It's everything you imagine. It's all that, the temperature, it's very hot. I'm just kidding. It's actually damn near snowing here. But this is good weather. This is good British vehicle weather, and it's a good place to check this.
Now turn sharply right.
Let's go up this hill. It's a good place to test this E-Pace because I didn't expect to find it very capable as far as Jag Land Rover vehicles generally go. And by that I mean they had us drive this off-road a bit. We forded some water. It got water way up on the hood, and this thing is still chugging. So it's still a Jag Land Rover product under the bones. It's just a smaller one, and that means it's packing some smaller engines. The only engines you're going to find under the hood of the new E-Pace are coming from the Ingenium 4-cylinder family. These are turbocharged 4-cylinder units. Now, if you live in Europe, there are 3 diesel options and 2 petrol options. Here in the States, well, here when I get home, back in the States, we're just getting 2 gas options. They're all-wheel drive. There's a 250 horsepower version. This is the 300 horsepower version, and it makes about 300 pound-feet of torque as well. It's paired with a very smooth shifting ZF 9-speed gearbox. It's got paddles. It does all the Jag things you expect it to do. I have it in dynamic mode, even though the top speed on this island is, some spots are 110 kilometers. A lot of this is 50 to 90 kilometers, and the locals drive fucking crazy. Apparently, they don't just use half the road, they use all of the road. And it's foggy, and it's rainy, and it's very British, like I said earlier. But this E-Pace is handling it very well. The steering... Thank you. Right and right. Got it. The steering is nicely weighted, especially when I pop it into dynamic mode, and it feels like a tight Jag product. Like I said, it's just a little bit small, but I did sit in the back seat to experience that.
Now turn right and then turn right onto D268.
And I fit. I can fit in that back seat behind myself. So it's pretty cool to be driving this on Corsica, mostly because, well, 1, I'm in Corsica, but 2, this is rally weather right now, and Corsica has been hosting rallies since the 50s. The Corsica rally went away, and now it's back. And so we've done a little bit of off-road, a lot of tarmac, and the Jag is just eating it up. I came here pretty ambivalent about this one, to be totally honest. It's just a smaller F-Pace, I thought, but the 4-cylinder engine suits it really well. All of that aluminum skin helps keep it fairly light. The structure itself is high-strength steel, but these roads are actually pretty awesome. They're tight and twisting, and like I said, the Corsicans like to come way over the dotted line, and be it a Citroen van or a Defender 90 coming at you, or a semi, a Iveco and MAN, and yeah, there's a lot of action on the island, even though it's the off season, and it's getting foggier by the second. Let's do fog lights on. So, talk a little bit about the infotainment. In the standard car, there's a 10-inch screen right here. All of them come with it. It's a tablet style, so you can swipe and move things around, and it's nice and sharp. In the center, there's an optional TFT screen, which is the cool gauges. It's the cluster that's configurable. You should opt for that one if you can, but you're going to need to spend more than the base price of the car, obviously. Since this is the baby of the Pace family. There's 3 vehicles in the Pace family: the F-Pace, soon the I-Pace, and now the E-Pace. The price for this entry-level Jag is $39,000 with destination handling, about $39,000. So you can get into one for under 40. There's no way you're going to spend less than 40 in one of these, but if you're in the mid-40s, I think you're doing well. It's a nice vehicle. There's more room inside than a Q3. It's a little bit bigger than an X2, but not quite as big as a BMW X3. It's a little bit bigger than a Mercedes GLA, so that's where it comes into the whole in-betweeners thing. Throttle response is great from this 4-cylinder. You don't really notice any lag. It's a twin-scroll turbocharger, so it's always ready for action. So because of the inherent nature of the Jag sportiness, this is an R-dynamic version. The brakes are responsive. The throttle, I already told you, is responsive.
Turn sharply right.
It handles well. This roof is a little bit weird with the glass panel there. I like having the big glass pano roofs, but this one feels like it's set behind your head when normally there's a little bit more vehicle to work with, but because this is a smaller vehicle, the roof's back there. But it does add a nice touch of lightness, airiness to the cabin space, so it's still a nice to have feature. The compact SUV segment is growing, and Jag wants something to compete in that space. This is an in-betweener car. It's slightly bigger than a BMW X2, but not as big as an X3. It's slightly bigger than the Mercedes GLA and the Audi Q3. The most important bit here, though, is that it's going to be bigger in terms of sales. When Jag launched the F-Pace, they doubled their sales just because of that. It's no surprise then that Jag wants to keep the trend moving. The E-Pace makes for a more accessible entry into this world on a package that buyers clearly want. Yes, like any time I drive a crossover, I wish it was a wagon. An XE long roof would be great, and they are bringing the XF Sport Brake. But let's look at the good in what we do get, and there is a surprising amount of good to be found here. I'll say it right off the bat, this E-Pace drives far sportier than I expected it to do. You have a McPherson front strut suspension setup, and out back is an integral link rear aluminum suspension. On standard models, there's permanent all-wheel drive, but on the higher performance models, like the one I'm sampling here in Corsica, this one has an active driveline. It diverts torque to all 4 wheels as needed. It handles regular around town stuff as if it were a front wheel drive vehicle, but as soon as you want to send torque out back, it does so in less than 100 milliseconds. Additionally, there's a neat feature called all surface control, where when you're off-road, the E-Pace will handle gas and brake at speeds up to 30 kilometers per hour. All you have to do is focus on the steering. The active driveline does allow for a bit of dumbness, which is always something fun that we appreciate, and on this dirt, sandy course, we were allowed to throw the rear end around. Furthermore, Jaguar set up a water crossing, and I thought we were basically going to drown the E-Pace. Water went up over the hood, and this thing kept on chugging. The baby cost. What's the baby cost? A little sharp corner. Sorry, that was my gear. So. Everything you do gives me